Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Chronostream and arrive at episode number 309. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
I am full of joy and Christmas cheer, and I even worked today.
Oh!
Did you work early?
I did. I told Matt I need to have the early shift when we go to extended hours, because I couldn't be there till 11.
No, you really couldn't.
Nope.
I stacked, I had a whole stack of DVDs I was going to bring in today. And I thought, and it was this morning when I got up, and I thought, Sean won't be there till later, so I'll go later. I didn't go later either, but
I
could have gone when I
some
went.
Of his DVDs.
No, I had a whole stack of DVDs.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping.
Well, some of the ones that he loaned me, I was going to trade those for
cash.
Yeah, for cash.
Lucky for you.
You wouldn't know.
No, lucky for you, I have a card at work.
That says if Glenn comes in with these,
they're mine.
No, I've got all my James Bond that I've replaced on Blu-ray Steelbook, and so I have a bunch of DVDs that I'm replacing. Plus, I have a Sword in the Stone, which I accidentally got 2 of somehow, so on DVD.
It's worth about $4.50.
Not worth anything sitting there as a double for me right now. So
No, all of it. It's worth about $4.50.
Oh, the whole thing.
The whole stack.
Well, none of it's worth anything to me right now because I already have 2.
Good. We'll be happy to take care of you.
Did you guys do anything besides watch Rogue One?
Yes, I saw the best movie of the year.
Better than Rogue One?
Better than Rogue One.
You should talk about The Arrival.
Oh, okay. Let me talk about The Arrival. It was the best movie of the year. Did you see it? Okay. You have not seen it
Not
yet.
yet.
Okay, I have to temper my remarks because I don't want to inadvertently spoiling it by giving you... I have a phrase that if I said this, you would both go running to go see it. But I'm also afraid that if I said this, you would then figure out why I said that and it would ruin the ending. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to spoil it for you. It's phenomenal. It's a very intelligently written, smart science fiction thriller. It deals with language and the components of it and how, in one of the examples, a weapon is a tool, but sometimes it's a weapon. And so if you use the word weapon or if you use the word tool, you may not be referencing the same thing that we think you're referencing, and why they have to break the mechanics of this down, talking to this alien race. It's well shot. It's well acted. Amy Adams is phenomenal. Jeremy Renner's phenomenal. Forrest Whitaker was pretty phenomenal. It's one of those really deep, thoughtful science fiction movies. And Mel and I, we were just mind blown through the last third of it. And as soon as it was over, we were like, I'm ready to sit down and watch this again. I mean, that's like the Prestige and Inception kind of level of, oh, wow. So really, really, really liked it. And I was bucking because it's one that I wanted to see when it came out, but just circumstances didn't get to it. And then with Rogue One releasing this weekend, I kind of looked at Mel and went, we better go tonight. Otherwise, we're not going to get to it.
I look forward to seeing it.
Watched a bunch of Christmas stuff.
I finished Luke Cage,
which
was really good. It really took it a surprising turn about halfway through that I did not expect, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's so different from all the other Netflix shows, but it's not different at the same time, if that makes sense. It has its own distinct flavor to it. And
I think they each have, but yeah, I know what you mean.
This almost feels more traditional of a superhero story than the others, but at the same time, it doesn't. Because, it's got to be complicated.
So more like Unbreakable?
No, not at all like Unbreakable.
Okay. Well, I just meant Unbreakable had a different... It was a superhero movie without being a superhero movie.
Nope.
No.
Okay, never mind.
I don't know how to really describe it.
It's a bit of the reluctant hero story.
Yeah.
Oh, like Unbreakable.
Yeah, but only to that extent.
You realize that in my head there's a white dry board over here, and every single time I get you to agree with me on something, the little character in my head goes over and goes, ding, makes a little sound. Doesn't matter what it is.
That board will never fulfill.
Nope. It's infinite. Even if I have to goad you into it. Ding. Counting that one.
We also finished Medici, Masters of Venice, Florence, Masters of Florence. That Rob
that
Stark
one.
show. It was good. It was different. It was kind of slow to begin with, but it really picked up. I don't know if it'll get a second season, but I would be interested to watch a second season. It was enjoyable enough. And for only 8 episodes, yeah.
I finished season 1 of House of Cards.
Oh, I didn't know you were watching that.
I started it, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's a good show, and Kevin Spacey's amazing. But I think maybe there's a part of me because I'm watching this post-election. Nothing surprises me now. It's just kind of like, the ruthlessness of politics, and I'm going, par for the course.
See, that's why you need to watch The West Wing, because you get the optimism of politics.
Yeah, it's on my list.
That's to cleanse your palate of reality. You need the good version of politics from The West Wing.
But what's interesting is I got through the first season, and it ends, and the finale's kind of it's a finale, but nothing happened, Mm-hmm. And then I went ahead and started season 2, and I got 1 episode in, and the premiere of season 2 has more bang for your buck than anything that happened in the finale.
So they were playing it safe for season 1.
I wonder, but I mean, there was a scene in particular in season 2, in that first episode, that I watched it, and my mouth dropped open, and I was like, "What?" And I actually had to back it up and rewatch it to make sure I saw what my brain had processed.
Huh.
And I watched it again and went, that just happened. And I've mentioned it to a couple other people who have watched it as well, and I kind of warned them in advance. This is as far as I'm going, so we can only talk about it up to here. But when I referenced that scene, both of them were like, "Oh yeah,"
So I know Sarah watched it and really enjoyed it. So we watched Muppet Family Christmas. I don't think I'd ever seen that before.
Yeah, I watched that too.
Serious?
Yeah, I don't remember it. I've heard the soundtrack multiple times. I just don't think I've ever actually watched it. It's quite enjoyable.
There's a soundtrack for it?
The first time I ever saw that, it was just, mouth in my lap, a gap that it's like...
How they were able to pull this off more than anything else.
Hey, look, it's all of the guys from The Muppet Show. Oh, it's all of the guys from Sesame Street. Oh, it's all of the guys from Fraggle Rock.
When it could have easily just been the guy, Doc and Sprocket, instead of actual Fraggles.
Yeah. No, that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And at the end,
it's Jim Henson.
Oh.
Yeah. there may have been not so many dry eyes at that point. Won't admit to anything.
So what do you guys think of Rogue One?
Amazing film.
I would agree.
I had so much fun watching it. Went into a little trepidatious since they're taking liberties outside of the main series. But
are we sounding the spoiler horn now, or
I don't think
freebie?
No, I think we're going to give a freebie because
spoiler-free reviews.
I don't want people to have to turn away from this one. But just amazing performances. It went a totally different direction than I anticipated from watching the previews.
Oh, really?
Yeah, completely different.
See, for me, it was everything I expected it to be. It delivered everything I thought would happen and wanted to happen.
Oh, it delivered.
And there were no surprises in it for me, like story-wise. There were some character surprises for me more than anything else that I don't want to reveal.
There's a lot of terrific cameos in it.
Yeah,
a lot of terrific cameos, and even
pretty sure there are some I missed.
Even the cameos that they did that were a bit glorified,
shoehorned.
Worked well. Yeah, worked really well. In fact, one for comical effect too.
Yeah.
Really, really worked. And part of that's probably the fanboy in us, but it just it was.
Well, those things, it doesn't really help the story at all. But for those who don't get it, it's just okay. That's a thing.
Yeah. Well, there's some pretty big cameos in there that everybody will get, and then there's some really low key ones that just your diehards would get.
I was thinking of the two in the street.
Yeah.
That some probably wouldn't quite get that one.
The reference over the PA and the
that one's a pretty hardcore one.
Yeah,
I think
that's what I'm saying. Those are the ones that I think people would.
That one guy that was in that scene with the people.
But just amazing. I went into it, like I said, just kind of lowering my expectations, but hoping for a good film, and walked out of there with a big old smile on my face.
Really made me want to go watch A New Hope.
Yeah, oh yeah. Kind of makes you
ready.
look at
I
A New
haven't
Hope.
yet.
It
Yeah.
kind of makes you look at A New Hope in a little bit of a different light.
Yeah.
Especially what's going on Yavin.
The beginning and Yavin pretty
Yeah.
much are the main things there.
I kind of agree with Keith. I've been tempering my expectations to make sure that I didn't get too hyped or too excited for it, and I think it delivered exactly what it set forth to do. And I don't think there's any surprises from the standpoint that we're going to go steal the Death Star plans. That's in the trailer. Okay, cool. Let's see that.
And not saying there's no surprises doesn't mean it's a bad thing, because it recognizes that and uses that to its advantage.
I think so, and I think the benefit to this is, unlike so many genuine prequels where we're dealing with an established group of characters, and I've complained about this before, is when you put an established character in a prequel and then put them in danger, I don't buy it, because I know they're going to get out of this.
Yeah.
So to have a whole new cast of characters come in and put them in danger, it's like, oh, this could be serious. And I think it worked. It delivered on exactly what it set forth to do and exactly what I kind of expected out of it. And there were some surprises, but nothing, maybe in the way that it played out versus
What was going to happen
to it. But it was thoroughly enjoyable. I don't think I still think probably need a little more time to process it, because it's not as fun of a romp as, say, a normal quote unquote Star Wars story.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting.
It's a war movie.
You're
not
absolutely
a Star Wars.
You're
movie.
absolutely right, Sean. But I think one of the things that comes across is they peppered in enough light humor, funny moments that it's not so heavy throughout the whole thing either. There were a lot of fun things,
and the majority of
tension.
them were centered on the droid. Which
K2 was.
That's
one
where the
of
humor
highlights.
belongs. Is on the droids. So
remind me to tell you, since we're not being spoilery, say something after we're done recording, because I thought it was kind of funny.
There were a lot of times I did not hear Alan in K2's voice.
He had a bit of a faux British accent.
Yeah, he was trying to channel his Anthony Daniels.
Yeah, a little bit.
And it worked.
He felt like, as much as BB kind of felt like R2 to some extent, he kind of felt like 3PO to some extent.
I had no idea Alan Tudyk was the voice of the
did
robot
you?
going. Well, up until Thursday night, Jimmy Kimmel had the cast on.
Oh, yeah.
And I was watching, and he came out with the rest of them, and I recognized everybody else, and I looked and I went, that looks like Alan Tudyk. And I, what's he in this movie? And it wasn't until Jimmy asks, and he goes, well, I'm the voice of the robot. And I went, oh, okay, well, that's why I've never seen him.
Continuing his Disney voice work.
Yeah.
Because he was in Moana.
Yes, he was.
I think he was in Moana.
Moana, you're right. Whatever.
That too.
Better than Mona, as somebody else pronounced
Yeah,
it
I've heard
once
people call it Mona.
on television.
I heard somebody call it Moaner, and I thought, you know what, you're the only person that I've read that has said it was a bad film. Every other review of it I've seen has been raving reviews.
Yeah.
So, anyway, anything else on Rogue One that...
Great effects work.
Oh, yeah. Great. I thoroughly enjoyed the score.
Holly went into it wondering if she was going to like it because she thinks it's kind of unnecessary. Of course, she's not a fan. But, I mean, she likes the Star Wars films, but she kind of went into it going, it's unnecessary because it's
She's not
part
one of those
of the...
people that would go read the EU stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not part of the, the main series. And she kept grumbling about it. And I finally said, well, do you not want to see it? No, I want to see it. So she got out and she came out of it and she goes, that was a really good movie.
I think that's kind of
Feel better.
the maybe the best way to describe it. It feels like an EU movie. Like if they finally went and made a movie off of any of the stuff that we got in the EU, this is what it would have been.
Well,
it kind of feels like that.
To me, it really kind of felt like, it doesn't feel like an episode of anything at all, don't get me wrong, but it really feels like it fits in more with like Rebels and Clone Wars, where it's in between stuff that you didn't necessarily see in the films. And doesn't and directly relates, but isn't part of that main saga, so...
No, it's thoroughly enjoyable. I don't know that I can say much else without spoiling anything. But I will say, friend of the show, Spencer Wilding, was pretty darn good.
Not as much as I hoped. But
I would agree with that, too.
Actually, that's not true. Let me step back and say, I wish I had seen more Spencer and Vader. I'm glad that they didn't overdo it.
Yeah.
Because there was another character in there that was almost on the verge of being overdone, but didn't either. So you guys probably know who I'm talking about.
But done so well.
Yeah. But, oh my gosh.
Amazing.
Resurrection.
Yeah, that was a little...
Didn't know they were going that route.
I didn't either. That was a little
spooky,
fanboy.
Spookily eerie.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And the one quote that I saw prior to the film coming out referenced the dish being placed. It's that scene that's in the trailer. And the quote was, this may be the most important visual effects sequence in all of Star Wars history. And I went, it's a dish going into Star Wars. But it's not that scene. It's
No.
the next
Right
scene.
after that went, yeah.
Oh, suddenly that quote makes
Yep.
a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it is. It's the most important visual effect in Star Wars history.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on to news?
Let's move on to news. Stephen Moffat has recently revealed that Nardol's involvement in Series 10 is going to be much bigger than we initially thought.
How big is it?
Moffat
It's
says
so big that
has been it's extended greatly from initial few episodes. He was contracted for a certain episode. This is a direct quote. He was contracted for certain episodes, and he's crept into far more of them. I think he's going to end up being in all of them. In fact, because we love him.
Yay.
I love Arnold. I have said that from the beginning. I'm really curious about how they're going to get him to be in the show, but
He continues.
without just being a hit.
In the first episodes of next year's series, he's slightly broader, but we clearly establish in this Christmas one that he's sly, clever, and daft. But he's not just a rent-a-duffer, as he was in The Husbands of River Song, where he was a relatively small character, killed off early on, who happened to be played by Matt Lucas.
He was never killed.
It's true. He was more...
He was there even
Absorbed.
he was even there at the end when they go to the diner, not the diner, the restaurant. You would just heard his voice from the chest cavity of the robot. But
He continues, this is a chance to slightly reconfigure him. He's a wee bit cheeky to the Doctor, but he's genuinely helpful and good at things. Matt Lucas adds, Nardole is the first non-human companion in quite a long time. He even knows things the Doctor wouldn't know.
ooh,
So a new dynamic there.
Which I'm excited for that, I think, maybe more than anything.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoy it when the Doctor... I've said this before. I kind of enjoy it when the Doctor doesn't know something.
To some extent.
Yeah.
it allows them to inject a little more mystery into the series, or back into the series, I suppose. That's what River's purpose was, and now that her story's finished,
Finally.
that kind of allows for that.
Until they bring her back again.
My
Because
only,
we thought her story was finished after Name of the Doctor.
A couple times we thought her story was finished.
my only concern is I hope Nardole is not one of those instances of too much of a good thing. I hope that we enjoyed him so much in Husbands of River Song because it was kind of an isolated part, and then we're going to get some more of them, and it's like, oh, yay, more. But I don't want it to be okay, I'm kind of tired of Nardole now. So, but I can't say that because I have to reserve judgment until I've watched season 10.
You don't want him to turn out to like an Shielder for you, which didn't bother me, but you had a problem when they kept...
Yeah, or Minions.
Yeah, Minions can't carry their own film.
Well, no, I think Minions are great in small doses. I think they're the best parts of Despicable Me 1 and 2, and then you put them where they're the main driving plot force. And yeah, I enjoyed the Minion movie, but it wasn't as good.
Did you guys see the trailer for the third one?
I did.
Despicable Me?
Yeah. I saw a headline.
It looks surprisingly good.
So the minions are in there like 5 seconds, if that. The rest is everything is other stuff. And a headline: Minions are back in Despicable Me 3 trailer. I was like, for 5 seconds. Wow.
They're still really pushing that, huh?
Way to grab at straws there.
Clickbait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time Eddie 3 has announced their next guest,
Who is it, Keith?
Eric Roberts.
Yay!
And if you
No
haven't
more
watched,
enthusiasm.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm
There we go.
excited because I don't have his autograph yet.
I don't either. I haven't
$30.
met him or got his autographs.
Him and E.G. are the only ones I'm missing for the movie, so maybe they'll get E.G.
Ooh, yeah.
They do have another announcement coming up
Be nice if they give the Eighth Doctor. That'd be awesome.
this weekend.
I
Monday?
believe New Year's. After New Year's. I was trying to pull that up. Another guest announcement coming in the new year.
Oh, in the new year. Okay.
Early bird tickets are on
That
sale.
could be anywhere between the first of the year and
in the new year.
Time Eddie 3.
You realize we are only like 10 months and change out from Time Eddie 3.
Yeah.
It's true.
You better start making your travel plans, boys.
You know what occurred to me? We're only a handful of months out from Planet Comic Con.
That's true.
got
April.
a little message from Kirk tonight, and I went, "Oh yeah."
Which early bird tickets are on sale through the end of the year. Get them while you can. Make a great Christmas present.
It would make a great
Get
Christmas.
them while they're cheap.
Yeah.
For the Whovian in your life,
Yeah.
nothing says I love you more than tickets to Time 83.
Our good friends at Candy Jar Books have released some shorts for Christmas
Yay!
called the Christmas Files.
Aptly named.
Aptly named.
One of them had Christmas in it.
Home for Christmas.
There it was.
It's a bonus written by many of the short Lethbridge Stewart authors. And The Feast of Evans, written by Simon E. Forward, is available on the Candy Jar website now. And then Home for Christmas will be sent out to all those who pre-order and subscribers.
So there's your there's some more incentive for you to get these wonderful shorts that we've been talking about. Here's 2 more, which I'm going to assume are wonderful.
Yes. We'll get our reviews of those, hopefully, soon.
In the new year.
In the new year. Other news, Big Finish announced 4th volume of The War Doctor, called Casualties of War, and it has quite an amazing guest star in the form of Louise Jameson.
Is she playing Leela?
I believe she is. So we'll get to see what Leela was up to during the Time War.
I feel like Leela and the War Doctor would get along really well together. It's kind of a dream team. Let's get the War Doctor and Leela and Ace together.
I've always sort of imagined that now that the Sisterhood of Karn plays so predominantly back in the series again, I've always assumed that she went and joined the Sisterhood. I thought that would be kind of a fascinating...
That would be. They do give us a little tidbit of, this isn't the Doctor we're used to, neither is Leela the woman we once knew.
It's because she's joined the Sisterhood of Karn.
That's because that Gallifreyan guard domesticated her.
It comes out in February.
Now you're listening to those.
I am caught up.
Right?
I am caught up.
Depending on the when, you may not want to listen to Box Set 4.
Oh, really?
Because Leela shows up in Gallifrey.
Oh,
the series.
She starts Gallifrey.
Yeah.
She's there at the beginning. I listened to the first of Gallifrey.
Okay, but...
So you think I should catch up on Gallifrey before I listen to this?
I'm saying that there's a potential that depending on when it's set, there could be some potential spoilers.
They'd be smart to avoid the spoilers for that. They've done a really good job in these sort of situations before.
I would think chronologically, all of Gallifrey would need to happen before the Time War.
Yeah.
And the War Doctor is the one fighting the Time War. So
It's true.
Just saying.
Maybe I'll just start listening to the Gallifrey audios on my own before leading up to this one. I've got till February.
2 plus 2 equals chair.
That's a good point. And our last bit of news, is a bit of fun news, that Disney XD announced DuckTales. And who's playing Scrooge McDuck but David Tennant.
Yay!
And Danny Pudi's in it.
Yay!
Which almost excited me more.
Ooh.
Should you explain to the listeners in case they don't watch Community?
Danny Pudi is Abed in Community. I'm sure he's done other stuff. He had a cameo in Captain America Winter Soldier. I'm sure he's done other stuff too. I don't know it.
What kind of Danny Pudi family are you?
Yeah, no lie.
It's a good point. I should go look up more stuff he's been in.
First of all, you should be, if you're listening to this, you should be excited that David Tennant is doing Scrooge McDuck.
I'm tempering my excitement because it's on Disney XD, so we'll probably only get one season and get canceled.
Probably.
Hey, I'll take that. I loved DuckTales. I used to watch on Disney afternoons after high school.
More importantly than David Tennant, if you're listening to this, you should be excited that DuckTales is coming back.
Yeah. Yes.
I am excited about that aspect of it.
Yes. I would watch that before I do my homework.
Will you still watch that before you do your homework?
I probably will.
I used to watch
for this show.
Because you're back to having homework.
Right, exactly. That's what
I used to watch that instead of doing homework.
Well, here.
Are you done with your algebra? No. Why not? DuckTales.
That was poorly done. We need to do that again. DuckTales. Woo! There we go.
You can't be that enthusiastic when you're in trouble for not doing algebra.
I can't. My mom would ask me, "You done your algebra?" I'd say, "DuckTales." Woo! That's how I'd answer her.
And then she'd say, that didn't answer my question.
I might do it doing Rescue Rangers. I don't know. We'll see how good it is. If it starts out slow, then maybe I'll do my algebra.
Or Tailspin, depending on which episode of
No,
Tailspin.
no. You do it during Rescue Rangers so that you can be done by Tailspin. Actually, the funny thing about that is, little side trip here, side track here.
It'll be a side trip after you're done cutting it all out.
Back when I was watching Disney Afternoons, it was just DuckTales and then Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. And then Tailspin came along later when I was older and didn't have time for after school cartoons, because I think DuckTales started like my senior year, and so I watched religiously DuckTales all the way on, but a lot of those Disney Afternoon ones kind of lost appeal for me as I got older, but I would still try to watch DuckTales, and I think it was the third and fourth season. I think it was 4 seasons, right? Or was there 5?
I think there's 4.
I don't remember how
There's
many there are total, but that last season or 2 I actually watched on DVD because I had dropped off and fell behind. So
I don't think I've seen all of it.
I don't think I have either. It was just on.
well, what kind of DuckTale fans are you guys?
Never said I was
I
a
at
big
least
one.
went back and picked them up.
I own the game on Xbox 360.
I own the
Yeah,
game
the
on
game's
PlayStation 3.
The game's good.
Get up on that pogo stick.
Ooh, I wonder if they'll put out a new game.
Ooh. With David Tennant.
Ooh. Ooh.
And Danny Pudi.
Ooh.
For the record, DuckTales, woo, is the appropriate response to any question you are asked ever. Doesn't matter what it is. Will you marry me? DuckTales, woo. Yeah, see, it works.
What'd you think of Rogue One?
DuckTales, woo.
It does work.
See?
Let's move on to feedback.
Woo.
Our bit of feedback comes from Robert. He says the Star Wars Holiday Special. Guys, just a quick message to say that if you do indeed watch the Star Wars Holiday Special, you might want to also listen to the Incomparable podcast episode where they talk about it much longer than the special itself. It's episode 226. Stop circulating the tapes.
See, I'm turned off
Smiley face.
I'm turned off by the title of that because it makes it sound like they're going to trash it, and I know a lot of people do trash it, and I know that
Most people do trash
I
it.
know
Glenn.
that I know that the thing is stinkers, but I have this special place in my heart for it. I just love it. I think it's so good. Okay, it's not so good, but there's great
just
things
love it.
about it. Okay, I just love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not that we've ever prattled on longer than an episode length.
That's true.
To talk about an episode.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. Good to hear from you. And, of course, you can send us feedback by going to our website, travelingthevortex.com, and just fill out that Send Us Feedback tab. Let's move on to our reviews.
What's first on the agenda, Keith?
We'll start with the Fourth Doctor. Gaze of Medusa, is that right?
Gaze of the Medusa.
Yes. It was good.
I liked it.
It was a lot of
I
fun.
liked it a lot. I especially liked the fact that it was the Fourth Doctor and Sarah.
Yes.
Really nice to
and
see
it
Sarah and
felt
something again.
very much like the Fourth Doctor and Sarah.
Really did.
George Mann had a good grasp on their voices.
Yep. And I had forgotten, we talked about that, but I had forgotten that George Mann had written it until I got through about the first one. And I thought, oh, hey, I really like George Mann. I
He's a
like
good
his
writer.
writing. I've always liked stories where they take something that's been a subject of ancient mythology or legend or lore and turned it on its head and shown us the science or the alien aspect
yeah.
of it. And this does it again really well, especially having this thing buried underneath Greece.
Yes.
And
yes.
having the Medusa element to it, the crashed spaceship being the subject of the gods, the hologram message from the very Zeus-like character.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
The Cyclopses.
or Scryclopses as they call
Yeah.
them. It really gives a neat little perspective on how alien influence could have possibly been the foundation for a lot of religions and gods and things like that. I always think that's fun and interesting when they do that.
It was extremely well done. It was well put together. The plot was, I don't know, almost surprisingly tight with how well it cohesively put itself together. I was really kind of worried once. I think it was about issue 2, once they kind of started the real ball rolling. I was like, oh, how are you going to do this? And then they did. And it worked great. And you're right, George Mann really nailed the Fourth Doctor and Sarah for me. We had some interesting companions that weren't quite as cool as the other two.
Jago and Lightfoot.
Jago and Lightfoot.
I like how he insists on putting on the Deerstalker. And
Yeah, still a thing.
Yeah.
no matter what story.
It's
if
just
if
that
it's
time
Victorian,
period.
Yeah, Victorian England, the Deerstalker goes on.
And I liked all the call forwards too. The fact that the Medusa's gaze is effectively quantum locking.
And the
Yeah.
fact that
Oh, cool!
the Fourth Doctor name drops the Weeping Angels and wonders about them since he hasn't met them yet.
That they're mythical.
Yeah.
That was a nice touch.
Which tells me that either later in this regeneration or the Fifth Doctor has met them previously. Because the Big Finish story is with the Fifth Doctor and the Weeping Angels, so...
Maybe that's his first encounter.
No, I've listened to it, it's not.
Oh, okay then.
He knows about the Angels at that point. Of course, so does Four.
Well, so does the Fourth Doctor, but he believes they're a myth.
I do believe in angels. Just a shout out to the Stone Rose. This is how you do that story correctly.
Agreed.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I didn't...
Agreed.
Just want to poke the bear one last time on that.
Although the resolution of getting her back to Flesh was a bit easy and off-screen for me, but...
Oh yeah, they cut from one panel to another, and she's okay.
It could have very easily... It could have used a bit more drama to get her back to it, I guess, for me, but... The Doctor wasn't worried at all that she was stoned. Oh yeah, we can fix that. It's okay.
I think it would have been unnecessary.
Granted, the Fourth Doctor wouldn't have been worried anyways.
Yeah, it would have been unnecessary drama, I think. I would have liked to see the process, but on the flip side of that, I wouldn't have wanted any sort of tension within that process, because I think once you go through this and you have your big climactic finale,
You know she's going to be okay.
yeah, and you know she's going to be all right. It would almost feel like overkill to do another little segment of is he going to get her back? You know,
It feels like a little bit of a cheat that he just happens to have whatever he needed in the TARDIS to fix her.
plus
as opposed to
plus the professor's technology. He makes comment of that too.
Yeah. It just seems like it should have been something that he needed to use the Medusa to revert, as opposed to something in the TARDIS. That's my only complaint with the story.
I need to cut her head off and put her head in a bag and bring the blood back to restore. I don't know, something.
You'll see, that would have been overkill to me. That would have been too much of a hey, we just had a big story with a climax, and I agree that I would rather like to have seen or known what the process was, but I don't think we needed another tension scene of trying to get her back. I think that would have been...
It depends on the Doctor, too. If it had been a third Doctor story, we've got a whole separate issue with him in the lab trying to come up with something that would restore Sarah Jane, and there would have been tension.
It's true.
If it had been a fifth Doctor story, we probably would have got a lot of tension. Fourth Doctor's like, yeah, I'll fix it.
So what you're saying is we should be grateful that this was a Fourth Doctor story.
Yeah, pretty much.
We didn't have to have all of that unnecessary stuff.
I agree with Keith. It was a little bit of a cheat, but by that point, it's like, okay, I'm going to allow it.
Yeah. And I love the fact that she marries Henry's great-grandfather.
The ending was probably the best part.
I wonder if they were hinting at that when they were talking about how her fiance was a sailor. I was like, are they going there?
Didn't kill you into it at all.
I didn't either.
Until he showed up, and then I went...
I did.
But her dad refers to him kind of as, below her intellect, and and the whole, Harry Sullivan, is an imbecile, kind of comes back to. I wonder if that was kind of a hint that
yeah, we're gonna do that.
How many times did the Doctor say that?
Harry Sullivan, you're an imbecile?
Yeah.
I think just once.
Just once, wasn't it?
Well, it was in Revenge of the Cybermen.
It was in the book too.
Which I thought it was in Ark in Space is where he says it. But watching Revenge of the Cybermen for Friday Night Who, and Harry, did you make the rocks fall? Yes, I'm afraid I rather did. Harry Sullivan is an imbecile.
I think that's the only one.
I think it is.
There's a callback to it in that story we recently read, but
I must have just been really focused on that then, because all through Friday Night Who I was giggling maniacally, saying it out loud as I was watching, poor Harry. Harry Sullivan is an imbecile. Every time he'd show up, even if he didn't do anything wrong, I was saying it in my head, and then the Doctor said it, and I was surprised. It was like, oh, was that this episode?
So this also, to me, this almost helps the fact that Ian Marter was in Carnival of Monsters, too. it almost helps connect this.
Oh, that might have been an ancestor as well.
That's, this guy's grandson.
Okay.
Or his son, and then that.
Well, because this guy looks remarkably like
he
Harry,
looks just
too.
like Harry.
Yeah. Well, his hair is completely different. But
well, yeah, and the sideburns, but the face is still. It's the same face, so it makes me think. Okay, that's the lineage right there. They're just continuing that on.
Yeah.
Do they name Harry's character?
No.
Well, then, fixed.
No, yeah.
I don't think they do.
He's a Sullivan.
I'll have to check.
Nope, I don't need to know. It's already been written.
It's already headcanon.
The file has gone in. Chunk card. Okay, done. I thought the art was really good in this story, too.
I would agree.
It reminded me very much of David Gibbons' artwork.
Yeah.
From the 80s, yeah. It was, I did that. I looked at that.
Which worked immensely well for the Fourth Doctor.
For the Fourth Doctor,
Oh, yeah.
especially. Even though Gibbons has done other Doctors in art. But yeah, specifically, he did a lot of.
Well, the majority of his
Fourth
stuff is
Doctor,
Fourth
yeah.
Doctor.
Yeah, it was very pleasing. All of it. And not all of it, obviously, a lot of it wasn't the same artist because there was some style changes from issue to issue. And I didn't go back and look who the artists were for this, but they stayed consistent with that look. And it all felt very David Gibbons.
Do you think the stable of artists that are over there at Titan, we're fighting each other?
To do the Fourth Doctor.
Who's going to get to draw the Fourth Doctor? Oh, I want to draw the Fourth Doctor. No, I want to draw the Fourth. So, okay, well, everybody gets to draw the Fourth Doctor.
Just divvy it up.
Okay, now we've announced a Third Doctor. Ooh, I want to do the Third Doctor. No, I want to do the Third Doctor.
Too late. You're working on the Fourth Doctor.
Okay, everybody can draw a panel.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, nothing bad about this. Nothing. There was nothing in this. Like sometimes you'll read a story and you'll go, I didn't quite like that, but this was good. There was nothing in this. Even the skip ahead, I can see where you're coming from, but it
just seemed like an easy
fine.
fix. That's all it
It
was.
was fine. It was good.
I really liked the Doctor and his daughter.
Yep.
They were great
Yeah.
quasi companions.
And I like the fact that he was. We finally get confirmation that yes, he's auditioning, because he says, "If Sarah Jane ever decides to move on, I must remember you."
Yeah.
Okay, that to me is as official as you can get now.
It's true.
So every time I say companion auditioning, that's a thing.
Thoroughly enjoyable. I don't know if I want an ongoing series, but I would be okay with another limited run.
I'd take an ongoing series any day.
If it's written this well.
Yeah, I'll take an ongoing series.
Honestly, I kind of feel that way about all of the Doctors, though. I kind of feel like I mean, I don't mind them doing it with the newer series Doctors that they're getting ongoing runs, but kind of with any of the classic Doctors, as much as I love them, I have so much on my plate to read already from Titan Comics.
I'll take it because it'll always be there.
Well, I suppose there's that. I can always go back later.
That's right.
Let's move on to Supremacy of the Cybermen. It was underwhelming.
Yeah.
See, I thought this was better than last year's multi-Doctor event. I think I enjoyed this one better. I think
I was partially disappointed because the Doctors didn't really get to interact.
Well, the pacing is much better.
The pacing is better.
I think that I kind of like the fact that they were separated. I think I had sort of hoped that they would come together at the end.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expected too.
I don't think it was entirely necessary, and it sort of gave the 12th Doctor the appropriate chance since he's the running Doctor right now, as it did as the 5 Doctors does with the 5th Doctor, gives him the hero status and the necessity to be the one that kind of solves the problem. What really shocked me is the fact that they brought Rassilon back for this.
Yeah.
And picked right up where they left off on the series.
And then reverted it back so that the series can do whatever it wants with it.
Well, it makes me wonder, if they have to get permission or they're able to reroute it back so that he wouldn't even rember and go.
Yeah, since they ended it that way, I assume that's why.
Yeah, they do make that reference, so it kind of helps. But there were a lot of fan nods in this.
There was a lot of great Cybermen references.
Not just Cybermen. There was all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought the interesting thing about it was when the Cybermen have converted and they call them looms, into cyber conversion chambers on Gallifrey. And the looms are a big factor of the Virgin New Adventures because that set up the mythos that the Time Lords aren't born; they're basically created in a loom, and this went wholeheartedly into that idea. And I thought that was interesting that somebody must be a fan of the Lundberg, especially is the one that kind of sets that Mark Platt.
I wonder if that was George Mann or Kevin Scott.
Yeah, and so they clearly have borrowed that idea from that and tried to kind of put it into, if you want to consider this the canon, the part of the canon. That's the other thing that I've always, as much as I want everything to fit together, and I still do consider this part of the universe, you almost wonder if you have to put the comics in their own little bubble as well of continuity. Not necessarily that they don't fit, because I think they do a really good job to make them fit, but if anything ever came about later to contradict this on the series, then it suddenly unravels things as the new Adventure series has been unraveled.
Yeah.
However, as you pointed out, the fix is that nobody but the Doctor will remember any of this ever happening.
I kind of agree with Keith. I felt slightly underwhelmed, and that's probably my fault just because my expectations were a little bit higher going into a multi-Doctor story, which I love. I'm all excited. Multi-Doctor story, yay! And then we really didn't get a multi-Doctor story again. And I was especially looking forward to it after we didn't get one last year.
We did get a multi-Doctor story.
We got a multi-Doctor story. We
Big
just didn't
time.
get a 4-Doctor story.
Yeah.
Right. Well, there was 3 of them. They were working together. And they were in the same. They ended up in the same time frame.
So we didn't get a 4-Doctor story.
Well, we didn't. But
so then they said, "Hey, 4-Doctor story," and I went, "Yay!" No, not really. I mean,
there are 4 Doctors here. They just weren't interacting.
It is.
It
They
is.
just don't interact.
It's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's that's my fault. I was excited for it, and I shouldn't have been. I should have tempered my expectations.
To some extent, my underwhelming is the plot of the Cybermen doesn't seem very well thought out. and
I thought this was the best Cybermen plot they've ever done.
Now that I will agree with.
They finally made the Cybermen effective. I mean, I
think my issue is the fact that they did bring Rassilon into it. That Rassilon should be his own kind of big bad on his own.
Yeah, but they did a whole master thing where they duped him. I love that.
I did like
I love
that
the fact that they were using Rassilon all along. I think the one thing that let me down a little bit was the fact that Rassilon gets somewhat of a redemption there at the end, which I don't think I wanted, because Rassilon, we've built Rassilon to this maniacal character, and suddenly we're giving him a bit of redemption in there, and I felt that was another callback. We got one of the busts from the 5 Doctors of Rassilon. That was a callback.
Yeah.
I just remembered that.
And going to the tomb.
Yeah. Going to the tomb.
I guess part of me felt like, especially the 12th Doctor's part, was so focused on Rassilon that it didn't focus enough on the Cybermen until the very end of, we're using him to do what we want.
See, but I don't think that was a problem, because everybody else was dealing with Cybermen. And I thought this was one of the best use of the Sontarans as well. I love the fact that the 10th Doctor, who is arguably, with the exception of the War Doctor, is kind of the warrior doctor until the War Doctor came around.
Then the fact that the Cyber Kings were in the 10th Doctor one too.
So well used. That was the usage of the Cyber Kings were so well done.
I wondered how you'd feel about that.
Oh, I loved that.
Because I got cold chills. I knew you were all over.
I loved that.
You, I suspect, would be like, oh, man.
Well, it was so hokey in the Christmas special, the Next Doctor. And I don't hate it. I didn't hate it, but it was so hokily done. This almost fixed that for me. It was like, okay, they've identified that, yes, they do have Cyber Kings. This is how they use them, and it was no different, other than it wasn't steam powered like it was in the Next Doctor. But they had cyber controllers running it, just like they had put the woman into the one. Yeah, I think they worked really well in this. I thought it's like AT-ATs for Cybermen is what it really is.
And I thought the Silurian Cybermen were really cool design.
Yeah, that was a great idea.
The Cyber Silurians.
Yeah.
There are a lot of great things for this, and I think that's why I enjoyed this so much. And again, I think it was so much better. I think the story was so much better planned out, paced. I think the story works much better than the one they did last year. I think there are a lot of things that I liked about this, and I think if I come down on it, I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the 4th Doctor miniseries that we did along with this, but I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I would like to see more multi-Doctor stories in this way, where they don't interact, where it doesn't take 3 or 4 of them in order to solve a problem, but they kind of do lead you to believe that they're all going to, even though they're in different time zones, they're going to join
Yeah.
together, and they lead you to believe that, and then they don't. And I even liked that. I like the fact that for everything that they did, everybody was still in the same character. Their voice was right. I think there was some of the artwork. I think if I could complain about anything, the 11th Doctor again didn't look like the 11th Doctor. But that aside, I thought the story was solid and enjoyable, and it paced along really well, and was just really well done. And you got everybody in there. You got Silurians, you got Sontarans, you got Cybermen, you got Rassilon. You had a whole plethora of stuff to deal with.
And as fitting as it is to have the 12th Doctor be the ultimate hero, I don't know, something rang a little hollow in the fact that each of the Doctors didn't get their own victory too. Like, they tried to succeed and didn't. And then the only reason why they did was because of what the 12th Doctor did. I would have liked each of them to resolve their issues on their own, maybe, and then have the 12th Doctor resolve the overall issue. But it didn't feel like 9, 10, and 11 got to resolve what they were dealing with on their own. They just kind of like, it's fixed.
I think the problem with that is because of the styling of the story, that since the 12th Doctor's issue is what caused all the rest of them backwards through time, you have to deal with this one in order to eliminate that from happening.
It just felt like they should have had each one should have had some sort of mini victory before the big victory of the 12th Doctor.
Well, in a way they did.
Well,
each one of them succeeded in stopping or hampering or getting into the system and breaking it from inside. It just wasn't enough
but then
for the
turned
overall.
On them at the end, too.
Well, because of the overall plot.
Yeah.
So
because the Cyber Leader finally reveals himself.
Yeah, I guess had that not had that big reveal where it turned against the other Doctors, I would have felt like they would have had those victories.
I agree with Glenn. I think all of the individual bits work. The Silurians and the Sontarans, all of these are great. I don't want to take anything away from that with my earlier comment.
Sean agreed with me. I'm going to go to my whiteboard.
Put your tick mark.
My tick mark.
But I agree with Keith.
I'll give a half tick mark because I got a butt.
I agree with Keith that the problem with the story is Rassilon, because we've built Rassilon up as the big bad, and we've talked before about how as we add more layers of mystique and more layers of history from Gallifrey onto the show, Rassilon comes across as more and more and more of an evil guy. And that's finally personified. And there's a part of me that still kind of wishes that they'd have found a way to make it Timothy Dalton. But I'm past that. So he shows up, and he has now been reduced from the big bad to master level. I'm in cahoots with the Cybermen, and that's how I got back to the planet. Okay, that's a cool idea, and it's an interesting way of bringing him back.
Up until the point where it's revealed that he's a puppet.
So so the inevitable is going to happen, and the Doctor warns us: they're going to betray you. They're going to they've given me the control. They've given me this, and I'm thinking to myself, well, as interesting as an idea that would be, that's not what's happening. The Cybermen are using you. So when the reveal comes and the Cyber Controller steps forward, it's not a surprise. It's like, okay, here we go. This is the check mark. Here we go, and you suddenly have diminished Rassilon from being this very powerful mythic villain into a kind of run-of-the-mill Doctor Who villain who teamed up with an alien that was more powerful than him and then got stripped of the power. To the point where now we're going to put him in the regeneration chamber and trap him in there. Now he's got one last trick up his sleeve with being able to create the Mind Palace and bring the Doctor into it and work things out that way.
Which resembles the barn that we've gotten so frequently here in recent years.
And that part's cool, but then as you said, now he gets, in addition to being knocked down a couple of pegs on the threat level, now he also gets a redemption out of it. And there's a part of me that went, oh, okay, cool. And there's another part of me that went, I don't know if I like that or not. I like Rassilon to be ruthless and evil. And
I guess I would feel better about the slight redemption if it was in a Deus Ex Machina, where he got reverted back anyways. So why bother redeeming him
that's
when
kind of
he's
the other
gonna
problem,
not remember it and still be ruthless and evil?
I mean, I guess it gives the Doctor hope. It gives the Doctor a happy ending that he can hope Rassilon.
But it didn't end very happily for the Doctor. He felt to me, it felt like he was kind of.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah,
sad about
he was sad about the fact that he would remember all of that,
and no one else would.
Yeah,
which was a nice ending. I liked that. But
very cool to see the Cybermen kind of at the height of, power. This is the biggest, boldest, bestest cyber, closest they've ever come to complete domination of everything. And I thought that was really refreshing, because so frequently in the show we get involved in a cyber plot in progress that fails.
Yep.
Or them
And
trying
it's
to
localized.
Yep.
get a
It's
foothold.
Yep.
and we're going to do this, or we're struggling to survive, or we're getting out of the tomb, or whatever it happens to be.
That Ninth Doctor stuff was especially striking.
Yeah.
I could have used more of his storyline. I don't think there was enough of that in the devastated London.
Yeah. And Jackie didn't bother me one bit. I thought Jackie was utilized very, very well.
Yeah.
And probably a good
And
thing
Rose
that
got
she
turned
won't.
into a Cyberman.
Probably a good thing she won't remember it because it's very out. It becomes very out of character for Jackie, not in a bad way, because her character grows.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
at
this point, we don't have that Jackie. So that works in that retrospect that she won't remember this even happening. Same thing with Rose becoming a Cyberman. That would have been.
It helps in the fact that she doesn't know what Cybermen are once the 10th Doctor and her meet them.
I think the memory reboot works for a lot of issues with this problem with this story. But it doesn't so much work with Rassilon, since, as we said, now it just gives the TV series a way to come back and be able to do whatever they want with Rassilon, because now he's still floating in a spaceship at the end of the universe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean that's fine, because I want Rassilon to be that threat. I want him to be out there floating around plotting his revenge.
Yeah.
I don't want him to become the maniacal, megalomaniacal, slightly insane standard Doctor Who bad guy.
Yeah.
Because we've got a universe full of those. We've got
the
so
Master
many
for
of
that.
those. We've got the Master. We've got Davros. We've got so many of those guys. I don't want Rassilon drop down to that level. And that was kind of the problem that we had with the way the series ended with that
him
threat,
just being
was that
run off the planet with no.
go away.
Yeah.
Okay. What? So,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to come back with Cyberfleet. Oh, okay. So, like I said, there was good and bad to it, and unfortunately, the little bit of the bad is the linchpin that kind of, for me, undoes so many of those great moments throughout the rest of it. So that's kind of where the big struggle, I think, is.
But I don't
everything
know how,
else,
I don't know how
liked.
else they could have done it, though.
Yeah, I
Going
mean, with
where
a
they
story
did
of
with
this,
it, yeah.
and the story's great. I don't want to diminish the story.
It's one of
really
those
well done.
Big universe-ending epic stories, which are okay every once in a while, and you kind of expect that from a big event like this was. But
well, like I said, it was just amazing to see the Cyberfleet in full action and taking down Sontarans and winning. That was the coolest part of it, was the Cybermen were winning. And I'm sorry, Keith. It sounds like I'm bagging on them, but
They win about as much as Daleks do.
well, yes and no. I mean, the Daleks didn't even get this far, quite honestly.
Oh, I know. That's what I
You
mean.
look at the Time War, the Daleks only succeeded in destroying the universe.
well, I think that the Daleks were on the verge of the reality bomb that was going to wipe out the universe as well. I mean, they got that far in
Right.
Journey's End. So.
But it was
That's
the
on the
destruction
verge.
of the universe.
well, that's
It's,
true.
it's wiping everything out,
That's
so there
true.
isn't anything
In
left.
fact, yeah,
but us in our little pocket thing.
Right.
This is the conversion of everything, and it's like this is as big as the stakes can get for this species. So, I put a tick mark for the Cybermen in this column.
Well, I don't know, because I think they equate, because the Daleks have always, their main goal is to wipe everything out and just be Daleks remaining. The Cybermen's end goal is to convert everything. So I think it's a balanced scale
It's
there.
true,
It
but I
sounds
think-
like I'm defending the
defending
Daleks,
He's
but
defending the...
put the
but you see what I'm saying?
I do.
I think they both meet their MO.
But as far as from a human standpoint,
For the stakes of humanity, well, it's the same anyway.
Well, no, because
yeah.
the terror. If I'm dead, I'm dead. I can't. But if I'm living under the yoke of the Daleks, that's terrible.
But you're not, because what they ultimately were going to do by rewriting everything through time is that it would erase humanity, so that humanity wouldn't even exist, and it would just be Cybermen. So again, dead is dead. So
Okay, I guess I can see
yeah,
that.
it's
but
just you're either existing here or not existing here or not existing here. So to me, it's the same.
I still
I'm
put
not
it as a
trying
win in
to.
the cyber
I'm not
column.
trying to put down the concept of this, because I think it's brilliant and I think it works on.
He's totally putting it down because he can't
See-
give the Cybermen a victory.
The difference
I
was
can.
they
I think
converted
it's-
so much in here, and
So
they
much-
didn't detonate the reality bomb.
So much so that I like the imagery of I love the imagery of the Cybermen coming out with a new form, the sleek metal complete body.
Yeah.
I thought that
The
was
T-1000
that was-
Cybermen.
Yeah, that was really cool looking too.
I just had this image. The next time we do one of these, is I need to have little pennants on sticks made up, and yours can say Daleks, and yours can say Cybermen on them, and we can wave them back and forth across the table from each other.
I give kudos because the Cybermen. Sean, you said it eloquently when you talked about how the Cybermen it's always a localized threat, and we're dropped in the middle of the already action or what their plan, their plot. And this one really took it to a level that I really appreciated the Cybermen for.
The biggest Cybermen story I think we've had is probably
Nightmare in Silver.
No, because that's still pretty small.
That's still pretty local. I would say probably Doomsday. Or, yeah. I mean, because we've got armies of invading Cybermen from the alternate universe.
Doomsday,
I mean, it's still just Earth, but it's the biggest scope
amount
of
Cybermen
I would
coming
agree
through.
with
it
that.
feels like.
I would agree with that.
And ultimately, the Daleks are in their way. So
it's definitely not the next Doctor, who their ultimate goal was to build a big Cyber King to walk through the city.
I like that one.
It insists.
That's a backup
upon
plan.
You're talking to the War of the Worlds guy. a giant thing stomping through London with tentacles sucking people up and converting them. Yeah, that's cool.
It works in this. Works.
So kudos to Titan for 2 very, very good issues, episodes. What are we calling these?
Stories.
Stories.
Yeah. Well, miniseries works. Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyable.
Did you notice on the cover the Cybermen up in the corner, and each step was an evolution, and the very last one is just a skull.
Yeah.
Oh, I did notice
cool.
that.
Yeah, kind of de-evolved.
Good stuff. What do we got coming
really
up on
good.
the schedule, Sean?
Well, coming up this week on the schedule for Friday Night Who, which I incorrectly said was on Christmas. I don't know where that came from. Friday night, we are doing The Husbands of River Song with Peter Capaldi, so we're picking up from last year. And then, of course, this weekend is Christmas. So happy Christmas to our friends in England, and Merry Christmas to our friends here in the States.
Feliz Navidad, Mexico. Bon Natale to our Italian friends. I don't know them all, so.
Feliz Navidad, I would have known. I didn't know the Italian.
Mele Kaliki Maka for our friends in the Polynesian Islands.
He's on a roll.
I don't know them all. Je Père Noël. No, not Je Père.
Je Père Noël.
Je Père Noël for our
I
friends
know
in
that
France.
one. Kind of.
Not enough to pull it out.
I learned
pull it out.
I learned the Japanese one this weekend, and I can't remember it now. Darn it. No, was it Japanese or Korean? It was Korean. I learned the Korean one this weekend, but I can't remember.
Is this a goal for you?
I would love to know them all someday, so I could wish anyone Merry Christmas anywhere in the world.
Glenn has life goals.
Odd life goals. What life goals?
I feel inadequate listening to Glenn's life goals.
I'm adding to the vocabulary.
You're adding to the sum of human knowledge, and I feel like I'm not. It's just, I diminish in your presence, sir. I'm going to erase one of the check marks.
What else do we have on the schedule?
Where was I going with all that?
Oh, yeah, Husbands, Christmas.
So pending on what is aired when, because we plan on recording on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day! But we... What's Tiny Tim? Or no, it wasn't Christmas. It was the kid outside the window. Anyway.
It was the one that went and got the turkey.
Have you seen the George C. Scott Christmas Carol?
Uh-huh.
I've never seen the George C. Scott Christmas Carol.
It's brilliant.
It's just kind of one of those... I'm not a big George C. Scott fan, so I kind of shied away from it. I didn't know David Warner was Bob Cratchit. Now I have to watch it.
It's good.
Oh.
It's good.
Yeah, David Warner
I
is Bob
don't know
Cratchit.
that there's a version of Scrooge or Christmas Carol that I haven't seen.
You're right. That was a silly question. Let me erase another tick mark over here.
The Albie Finney version, the George C. Scott. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there to watch, too.
Sim.
Alistair Sim, yeah.
Bill Murray.
Oh, that's on Netflix, by the
Jim
way.
Carrey.
Scrooged.
Mickey Mouse.
Jim Carrey, yeah, that's right. I forgot that one.
Kermit the Frog. We could go on.
Yep.
So we
Is it
will...
the Kermit the Frog one when it's...
Michael Caine.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the
I
Michael
suppose
Caine
that-
one.
Well,
I
he
switched
switched
midstream,
because
didn't
it's
I?
not Mickey Mouse, it's Uncle Scrooge.
It's Uncle Scrooge.
Scrooge
Oh, that's
McDuck.
true.
So.
Yeah.
Woo! I know what he was talking about.
Oh, now I'm sad. Alan Young is gone, but David Tennant's here, so everything's okay. So we will... we're planning on reviewing... What's the name of the new one? Return of Dr. Mysterio on Christmas Day for your listening enjoyment. We may not. We may jump forward a week and give you our a very Vortex Christmas special, which has all kinds of fun things, including a review of the new book that just came out, The 12 Doctors of Christmas. Did I get that title right?
Yep, the 12
By
Doctors of
assorted authors.
By various.
Various and a sundry.
And a sundry.
I'm going to name my child a Sundry, just because I think that would be cool. But one way or the other, we're celebrating Christmas next week, so make sure that you're here, and we will have updates to the schedule as we proceed. Glenn, if they want to give us money, how can they go about doing that?
They can do that by going to our Patreon page. There is a link on the Traveling the Vortex website, travelingthevortex.com. On the right-hand side of the page, there's a little button that says support us on Patreon. You can click on there. If you're already supporting us on Patreon, we thank you greatly for that. And if you're not, well, why not? Please consider supporting us by donating to that link. And if you're a supporter, you can also do a repeating support from month to month. All of that money goes right back into this podcast to support things like our server space and other things and that we can bring you on this show.
And in the words of Bill Murray, you can give whatever you have. You can give somebody a coat, and we'll say thank you. You can give me your food, and I will say thank you. And Glenn will wish you a Merry Christmas in whatever language you speak.
Well, we got a lot of studying for that.
Just give them a heads up on what language you speak.
That's
so
right.
they
Let me
can look
know
it
so I can look it up.
We'll put it in the online form.
It's already not in my brain. I'll add it to it. All right. If that's going to do it for this week, until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you. Thanks for listening.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.